The numbers are not complicated, but they are uncomfortable, and they are worth setting out slowly and in order. In July 1947, a London barrister who had never set foot in India was given a map, a room, and 5 weeks. The line he drew would decide which country 88 million people woke up in. He was chosen because he knew nothing about India. That was the qualification. Ignorance, the theory went, would make him fair. You know how this story is told. A clueless Englishman ran a pencil down a map, and 1 million people died because he got it wrong. The deaths are real, worse than most people are told, but the pencil is wrong. The historian who has spent longest in these archives says the killing was not caused by where the line went. And the strangest fact here is not that he drew it badly. It is that for the first 2 days of their lives, India and Pakistan did not know where their own border was. Somebody chose that. It was written down, and the reason he gave in public was not the reason he gave in private. This is the Radcliffe line, audited. The numbers are not complicated, but they are uncomfortable, and they are worth setting out slowly and in order. Start with the clock, because the clock is the crime. Radcliffe landed in Delhi on the 8th of July. The deadline was the 15th of August. He learned that deadline only after he had taken the job. He protested. Mountbatten, Nehru, and Jinnah all held him to it. Note who is in that sentence. The date was not simply imposed by a departing empire. The 2 men who would lead the new countries wanted it just as badly. He chaired 2 commissions at once, Punjab and Bengal, sitting at the same hours in different cities, so he attended almost none of the hearings. He read the records instead. He lodged away from the viceroy on purpose, so that nobody could say he was being leaned on. The numbers are not complicated, but they are uncomfortable, and they are worth setting out slowly and in order. Under him sat 4 judges, 2 named by Congress, 2 named by the Muslim League. Look at that for a second. 2 against 2 on the most bitterly contested question in the subcontinent, with nobody to break the tie. It could not produce agreement. It was not built to. In Lahore, the judges could barely speak to each other. One had lost his wife and both his children to a massacre in Rawalpindi weeks earlier. So every hard call fell to the chairman. And here's what almost every version of the story gets wrong. Radcliffe did not have a casting vote. Read the act. The award is defined as the decisions of the chairman, one man, alone, holding the entire legal authority. But the real indictment is not that he did not know India, it is that he did not know borders. By 1947, this was an established craft, with surveys, with demarcation on the ground, with people who did nothing else. Radcliffe had none of them, no geographers, not one advisor who had ever drawn a border before. Neither had any of his judges. They were all, like him, lawyers. Britain could have asked for outside help. It chose not to, because asking would have looked like an empire admitting it could not manage its own territory. The numbers are not complicated, but they are uncomfortable, and they are worth setting out slowly and in order. He signed it on the 12th of August, Punjab and Bengal and Sylhet the next day. 3 awards, not 2, which is the first thing most retellings get wrong. Independence was the 15th, so the line existed, finished and signed, 3 days before the 2 countries were born. It was not published until the 17th. Read that again. India and Pakistan became independent, and for 2 days, neither government, neither army, and none of the people living along that line knew where it ran. Villages flew both flags. Officials administered districts that turned out to belong to the other country. Radcliffe wanted it released. He said so. He was overruled. The numbers are not complicated, but they are uncomfortable, and they are worth setting out slowly and in order. The man who overruled him was Mountbatten. In public, his reason was gentle. He did not want to spoil the celebrations. A boundary announcement, he suggested, would sour the joy of independence. The private record says something else. In the minutes of the staff meeting where the decision was actually taken, and in his own confidential reports, the concern is not the mood of the crowds. It is that Britain should not appear responsible for the disorder everyone knew was coming, not sparing them, distance. And the cost of those 2 days is not theoretical. The governor of the Punjab had spent weeks begging for advance notice, so he could move police and troops to where the line would actually fall. On the 30th of July, he told Mountbatten that even a few hours would be better than none. He got nothing. The numbers are not complicated, but they are uncomfortable, and they are worth setting out slowly and in order. Now, the part where this channel gets accused of taking a side. So we will take both. Pakistan has two great grievances about that line. One holds up, the other does not. Ferozepur holds. On the 8th of August, a draft went from the Viceroy's office to the governor of the Punjab, showing Ferozepur and its headworks going to Pakistan. On the 9th, Radcliffe showed that draft to Mountbatten over lunch. In the final award, the land went to India. Radcliffe later admitted to a British inquiry that he had shown the award to Mountbatten, and that it changed afterwards. Gurdaspur does not hold. The claim is that a Muslim-majority district was handed to India to open a road to Kashmir. But the 8th of August draft already splits Gurdaspur exactly as it was finally awarded. Radcliffe's own private secretary, the same witness who carries the Ferozepur case, said Mountbatten did not influence it. Both Muslim League judges wrote dissents, and neither mentioned Kashmir. The historian most often cited as proving that corridor argued against it. The numbers are not complicated, but they are uncomfortable, and they are worth setting out slowly and in order. And before anyone decides Radcliffe simply favored India, look at the Chittagong Hill tracts, 97% non-Muslim. He gave them to Pakistan, over Nehru's objection. But the wider Pakistani complaint is exactly right, and it needs no conspiracy at all. In the Punjab, India received several Muslim-majority sub-districts. Pakistan received not one non-Muslim majority sub-district, not one. Both of those things are true at the same time. Any version of this story that gives you only one of them is selling you something. So did the line cause the killing? The scholar who has spent longest in these archives says no, not the location of it. Punjab's people lived mixed together in a way that admitted no clean line, and a different border would not have produced a meaningfully different result. The numbers are not complicated, but they are uncomfortable, and they are worth setting out slowly and in order. What produced the horror was everything around the line. A date moved forward by 10 months. A boundary finished, then hidden for 2 days. Police who could not be positioned because nobody would tell them where the border was. We blame a man with a pencil because a man with a pencil is easy to picture. It is much harder to picture 4 judges who could not agree, an empire that would not ask for help in case it looked weak, and a viceroy who delayed the answer to protect his own government's name. Radcliffe destroyed his papers before he left, not, as the story goes, in horror at what he had done. His biographer says he threw away papers he no longer needed all his life. Even the famous refusal of his fee is a story everyone repeats and nobody can source. He left before his own award was made public. He never came back. The room was real, the pencil was real, but what killed people was not where he drew the line. It was the fortnight around it. Tareekh ka Hisaab. History audited. Hisaab abhi baki hai.